Have you ever felt like you're always there for everyone, yet no one is truly there for you? In today's world, being constantly available has become a norm. We're expected to respond to messages instantly, attend to others' needs promptly, and always be present. But this constant availability can lead to emotional exhaustion and a loss of self. Carl Jung emphasized the importance of individuation, the process of becoming aware of oneself as a unique individual. When we're always available to others, we risk losing touch with our own needs and desires. We become reactive rather than proactive, living according to others' expectations instead of our own values. It's essential to recognize that setting boundaries is not selfish, it's a form of self-care. By creating space for ourselves, we allow for personal growth and self-discovery. We learn to listen to our inner voice and make choices that align with our true selves. Constant availability is an illusion that hinders our personal development. By setting boundaries and prioritizing our well-being, we embark on the journey of individuation, leading to a more authentic and fulfilling life. The emotional toll of being endlessly available is heavier than most people realize. It doesn't just wear you down, it erodes your sense of self-worth. Every time you answer a message when your body says rest, every time you show up for someone who never shows up for you, you're sending a message to your subconscious. Your needs don't matter. This repeated behavior creates a dangerous loop where your value becomes defined by your usefulness. And what happens when you're no longer useful to someone? They disappear. And you're left with the wreckage. Carl Jung warned us about identifying with the persona, the mask we wear for the world. The over-available version of you? That's not your true self. It's a socially approved mask, worn to gain acceptance, praise, or avoid rejection. But masks crack. The longer you play that role, the more you bury your true needs. And one day, you wake up emotionally bankrupt, exhausted, resentful, and numb. Imagine a phone battery at 5%. You've got no charger, but every app still expects full performance. That's what emotional burnout feels like. That's what giving too much costs you. Bridge to transformation. Once you see the cost clearly, it becomes impossible to ignore. This isn't just about saying no to others. It's about saying yes to yourself, perhaps for the first time. When you stop being emotionally available to everyone, something strange happens. You start hearing your own voice again. At first, silence feels foreign. It's uncomfortable, even frightening. You've spent years being needed, being useful, being the emotional outlet for others. So when the noise fades, it can feel like something's missing. But that something was never you. It was the illusion of connection, built on convenience, not authenticity. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is space. And in that space, your real self starts to breathe. Carl Jung believed that withdrawal is often the first step toward individuation. Not isolation, not avoidance, but intentional retreat. A conscious pulling back from relationships, routines, and environments that drain you. This retreat isn't weakness. It's preparation. Preparation for becoming someone no longer defined by other people's expectations. When you stop explaining yourself, stop justifying your boundaries, stop apologizing for needing space, that's when the power returns. And the moment that shift happens, you realize you were never broken. You were just overextended. So here's the question. What are you willing to let go of in order to return to yourself? Take 5 minutes today. No phone, no music, just silence. And ask yourself one question. What have I been giving away that was never meant to be given? This isn't about becoming distant. It's about becoming whole. Here's a truth most people don't want to hear. The moment you begin to protect your peace, you will lose people. Not everyone is meant to walk with you into your healed life. Some are only compatible with your dysfunction, not your growth. You'll notice who stops calling when you set boundaries, Who accuses you of changing when you start honoring your energy? Who disappears when you stop overgiving? Let them go. Carl Jung wrote about the shadow, the parts of ourselves we suppress or deny. Often, our relationships reflect not our light, but our shadow. We attract people who match our wounds, not our worth. So when you heal, those bonds may break. Not because you've become cold, but because you're no longer a mirror for someone else's unresolved pain. And that's okay. Growth isn't always graceful. Sometimes it's lonely. But solitude is not the same as suffering. It's sacred space. Letting go isn't about anger. It's about alignment. You're not pushing anyone away. You're just stepping into a version of yourself that no longer settles. And if that makes people uncomfortable, they were never truly comfortable with you in the first place. After the silence, after the letting go, comes something far more difficult, but infinitely more rewarding. Rebuilding your identity without performance. You've spent so long reacting to others, fitting in, showing up, giving when empty. Now that the noise has faded, you face something terrifying. Who am I when no one needs me? Most people never ask that, because it requires confronting the void where false identities once lived. But here's the secret. That void, the moment you stop needing people, you attract those who value you the most. Because real power isn't in being available to everyone. It's in being aligned with yourself. It's where you build. This is the space Carl Jung called the center of the self. It's quiet. It's grounded. It doesn't need validation. It simply is. You don't rebuild from noise. You rebuild from stillness. Now is the time to stop measuring your worth by how others respond to you. Now is the time to become your own source of emotional safety. Because when your identity no longer relies on being useful or liked, you become something unstoppable, whole. From that place, you stop chasing connection. You start choosing it. You don't fear being alone. You understand the sacredness of solitude. You no longer explain your silence. You honor it. You no longer seek approval. You embody self-respect. And here's the paradox. Now that you've found yourself again, the real challenge begins. Can you enter relationships without abandoning who you are? This is the test. Because before, connection was often survival. You gave too much because you feared being left. You said yes when you meant no. Because silence felt like rejection. But now you know better. Now you connect from wholeness, not from fear. You can be kind without being compliant. You can be present without being depleted. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That privilege comes with boundaries. You learn to say, "I care about you, but I won't shrink for you. I love you, but I won't betray myself to keep you." This isn't arrogance. It's alignment. You don't need to over-explain your value anymore. You live it. You embody it. And because of that, you begin to attract something different. People who respect your silence. Relationships that don't require over-functioning. Spaces where you don't have to perform to belong. This is the next evolution of your power. Staying true to yourself, even while staying close to others. You've built your center. Now you learn to move through the world without abandoning it. It's not about isolation anymore. It's about sovereignty. You've learned to reclaim your space. You've let go of people, patterns, noise. But now comes the final frontier, facing the part of you that still hurts. We all carry wounds, abandonment, rejection, shame, guilt. These don't vanish just because we set boundaries. In fact, when the world gets quiet, that's when the pain gets loud. Carl Jung didn't tell us to get rid of our darkness. He told us to integrate it. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, he said, but by making the darkness conscious. That means looking at your anger, not suppressing it, sitting with your sadness, not running from it, owning your loneliness, not numbing it. It means understanding that every time you gave too much, every time you stayed too long, every time you betrayed yourself just to feel loved, you weren't weak. You were unhealed. And now you're healing. Real healing is not aesthetic. It's not pretty. It's messy. It's days of silence, nights of crying, moments of relapsing into old pain. But if you stay with it, if you stop trying to fix it and start listening to it, it transforms. Your shadow becomes your compass. Your scars become your map. And slowly, the pain that used to control you becomes the power that protects you. This is what it means to own the shadow, to walk forward with your wounds, not in spite of them, but because of them. There comes a moment, after all the pain, all the silence, all the letting go, where you look around and you realize there's no one coming. And you're finally okay with that. You've stopped waiting for an apology, waiting for closure, waiting for someone to see you, hear you, understand you. You've realized you are the witness, you are the listener, you are the safe place you always looked for. Carl Jung believed that individuation is not about fixing the world. It's about becoming whole within yourself. So whole that you can stand in your truth, even when no one claps. So grounded that you no longer react, you respond. So rooted that you don't chase, you choose. The world may not change. People may not change. But you did. And that changes everything. You no longer give your energy away to be accepted. You accept yourself. You no longer fear solitude. You use it to build peace. You no longer need people to validate your story. Because you've lived it, felt it, faced it. And now, you own it. And here's the reward. When you become the sanctuary you once begged others to be, no one can ever take it from you. Not rejection, not betrayal, not abandonment. Because your peace isn't built in others, it's built in truth. And that makes it unshakable. You've done the work. You've unlearned the need to overgive. You've walked away from what drained you. You've stared into your own darkness and didn't flinch. Now, you are no longer defined by your past. You are shaped by your choice to rise beyond it. There's a power in you now that's hard to explain. It's not loud. It doesn't shout. It doesn't need to prove itself. It simply is. It's the calm in your eyes when someone tests your boundaries. The silence you hold when chaos tries to pull you in. The peace you protect when others try to provoke reaction. This is what true strength looks like. You don't chase, you choose, you don't explain, you embody, you don't collapse, you center. You've stopped looking for rescue because you've realized you were never lost. The journey wasn't about finding a new version of yourself. It was about remembering the one that was buried under years of survival. Now you live in truth. Now you stand in self-respect. Now you move through the world. Not to be seen, but to see. And so, I'll leave you with this. If no one ever claps, if no one ever understands, if no one ever follows you on this path, would you still walk it just because it's yours?